You talked about Tennessee being one of those 5 schools, so when the position comes and Tennessee's talking, was it a no-brainer to leave Alabama, or was that still a tough
No,
decision?
it's never been a no-brainer for me and for Pam to walk away. We're not transient people, and I say this in a very, very positive vein, and our history would obviously verify that. You know, it was hard for us to leave East Carolina. It was hard to leave Florida State. And it was hard to leave Alabama. But each time that we left, we immediately knew who we were, where we were, and where our passion would be. And that's already transpired. Our passion is for the University of Tennessee. And I understand that that's not, it's like respect. Respect is not granted, respect is earned. And so I understand that's in some people's minds an issue because of the nature of the rivalry, the history. I do understand that. But I don't think that people should react probably as vigorously as they might in some corners. And we'll take time to, you prove yourself again, and that will occur in time.
Dave, did Alabama make a counteroffer to you?
No, Alabama was wonderful. And as I shared with Chancellor Cheek throughout the last few days here, even leading up to 2-3 hours ago, I still had, and this makes me feel good, I still had coaches and administrators and faculty and people on campus saying, look, we want you here. And I said, and I'm flattered, and I know that's heartfelt, but the decision to come to Tennessee was one that I think anybody would be foolish to reject.
I would imagine you said that this was an important step towards continuing the stabilization of youth athletics. What type of commitment did you make to Dave in terms of contract and salary to ensure that he's going to be here for a while?
All that information is on the website now. It's a complicated document, and if you will go to that and look at it, you'll get the answer to that. But I think what he was most interested in the way this search unfolded, was how he and I would get along. He wanted to make sure that he and I could establish a very good relationship. This has been over the last few days, and we've seen each other a lot, and we've established a very good working relationship. He also wanted to make sure that he had overall control of athletics, that I didn't micromanage athletics, and so all those issues were resolved, and to our satisfaction. I'm delighted he chose to come to Tennessee. The first time I talked to him, within 5 minutes, I knew he was serious about Tennessee. And like I started off my comments, he's very high character, integrity, honesty. It comes through very well when you sit down and talk to him. And I think our fans are really going to be proud of him as our athletic director and vice chancellor as they get to meet and know him.
When did that initial conversation take place?
About a week ago, a little over a week ago.
Dave, are you, at this point in your career, when you went back to your alma mater, probably, maybe I'm assuming too much, maybe thought that would be a nice way to wind down your career. So my question is, are you at all surprised to find yourself sitting here tonight doing this?
I was surprised again, and I always give you candid responses. I was surprised when I went to Florida State. I was surprised when I went back to Alabama, because it goes back to what we said. Pam and I are not. We like to get roots. We don't like to bounce around. But this, I enthusiastically, once I met Chancellor Cheek and had a chance to spend really quality time with him, then I knew that this was the place for Pam and I.
This question for both of you guys is Chancellor Cheek first. Were the violations that occurred at the end of Dave's tenure at Florida State a concern for you with the committee? And then, Dave, were you kind of open with their committee and how they were able to let you explain things and everything like that? I
think as you look at the academic issues, the provost and I at Florida State are real good friends. And his explanation of this was as an academic matter affecting students at FSU, and obviously athletes are students at FSU. But it was not an athletic matter that influenced academics.
And I would only add that the two events were totally separate. You know, when I left Florida State, we had already made that decision before we even knew there was an issue with the online music course and those types of things. And I worked hand in hand with the provost, with legal counsel, with our faculty athletics rep, looking into what did happen. So the two events are unrelated chronologically.
Obviously, one of the big changes in the next year is the combining of the two programs. Can you just touch a little bit on how you see that happening, your vision?
Well, this would leave, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but I know this is accurate, just the University of Texas would be a standalone program that has separated men's athletics and women's athletics. So most recently, I know that Bob Bowlesby, who is a colleague and a friend who's now at Stanford, but Bob was at Iowa when the merger took place. And most recently, Jeff Long, who's the athletics director at Arkansas, when Arkansas's programs merged. So that's a long-term proposition and has to be done correctly. But again, I would want input from Joan and people in the department. And I have some ideas and some concepts of how that should unfold. But I want there to be good dialogue before we arrive at the final destination.
Considering you've been at Alabama for the last little bit, what are your thoughts on SEC expansion? Is that something that you see as inevitable, or?
I'll do this.
And I think we said it real clearly when the SEC presidents and chancellors met recently. We'd prefer to stay at 12. If something happens, then we've got to reconsider that. And we don't know what implications that have for us.
But Dave, you've been involved as part of expansion.
Yes.
You were with Commissioner Swofford at the ACC
Correct.
level with that. Does your thoughts on just how difficult is expansion? Because everybody throws out teams and let's just do this. How difficult is it to expand now?
It is very difficult. And I think, again, that it's so complex. It's not just moving in that direction, conference realignment, but it's deciding on divisions, it's deciding on rivalries, and I mean, it gets extremely complex, having been through the process in the Atlantic Coast Conference, going from 9 teams to 12. So if indeed this becomes a reality, then certainly it'll cause a ripple effect, without a doubt, across the country.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Look forward to getting to know all of you. Go Vols.